Morning everyone. As discussed related to your internal quiz in the last session, right? So we were planning to give some 15 MCQs and numericals for the remaining thing. But now it has been decided, like in yesterday's meeting with the HODs and the faculty members, it will be 30 MCQs. If it is numerical also, that will be given for 1 mark. Simple questions either related to the tolerance, yeah, identifying the grade for hole and the shaft. It will be simple, which is providable for 1 mark. So you won't be having like 3 marks numericals, yeah, 5 marks numericals, because we had a bifurcation. Totally numerical means you need to answer like 5 to 6 questions for 30 marks, so which is now currently not possible through online sessions. So it was decided, let the pattern be uniform for everyone, 30 MCQs and 1 marks each. If it is numerical also, if you want to give, it will be very reasonable. For 1 marks, which is we can give, we will be providing the numerical questions related to that. So you will be having 30 full questions for your internals, and objectives will be given. Four options will be given, so you have to select one of it. So if it is a simple problem, you will solve and select the answer, which is it. So that is what been decided in yesterday's meeting. So I just wanted to put forward the same to you all. Is it fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, is it the same for all subjects?
Yeah, all subjects is the same. It will be 30 MCQs you will be getting, and you will be having options. So you have to select, hopefully you'll be having 4 options. So out of that, you have to select one which is the best related to the question being given. So for the more clarification, it's better you just speak once with your concerned subject teachers also. But the format will be the same for all the subjects. So that's what I wanted to put forward before I do start. So in the last class, we were dealing about the last part of our module 4, where we dealt related to the terminating devices, mechanical counters, cathode ray oscilloscopes, and then we started with our fifth module. So fifth module, we were dealing with the measurement systems, right? So for measurement system for force, we have for torque and pressure, all these steps we do have. So we had started for measurement of force. So for measurement of force also, there were different classifications. So we were using the balancing method to identify the measurement of the applied force. So in that way, we just dealt about related to the equal arm balancing force. So remaining part of the categories we will be studying today. So let me share the screen. Right? In the previous session, we just dealt about in the fifth module related to what you mean by force, how we do measure the force by direct method as well as indirect method. And under these, we had the measurement methods where we'll be using only the scales and balancing scheme. In that, we dealt about equal arm beam balance scale method, right? So along with that, in your syllabus you have unequal arm beam balance scale method and multi-lever platform scale method. Apart from that, there is one more method called pendulum scale. This is not associated in your syllabus. So let us cover these 3 methods. So this we dealt about related to equal arm balance. So where you will be having the pipette equally distanced with the both the lengths of the arm, where you'll be having one unknown mass and the known mass. You compare, any deviation is there, the pointer will be reading and showing us the variation in the weights of measurement what we do. So this we dealt already. And next part, what we have to understand is how you do the measurement of force in unequal arm balance. So similar to that of equal arm balance, you are here also you will be having 2 arms, right? So unequal arm balance also uses the two arms. So one arm is called as the load arm and the other arm is called as the power arm here. Okay, so you can see this will be the unequal arm beam balance scale. So in which one you will be having the power arm and other one is the load arm. So in the power arm you will be loading the standard mass to compare the unknown mass, right? So this will be aligned at a particular distance b. So this distance you can keep on varying, but the distance here will be remain fixed. So the knife edge at which you are fixing the pointer, from there to the load arm, the distance always remains fixed. And here you will be adding the mass which has to be determined. So you will be having one load arm in which you load the mass which has to be measured, and here in the power arm you will be having the standard mass of which weight is known. So this is a typical unequal arm balance. How does it looks? So when you have a standard mass F, so due to gravitational force, the gravitational force also will be acting downwards, right? And that is the thing what you have to understand. So you know that a figure, the mass m acts as a power on the beam and it exerts a force Fg due to the gravity. So the standard mass what we are using will act as a power on the power beam and it exerts equally a force F suffix g which is due to our gravity. And we know that a force is equal to mass into acceleration. So the force associated with the gravity will be equal to mass of the standard weight what we are using into the value of gravity. Okay, so this force which is exerted due to the standard mass will act as a counterposing force against the load what we have to measure. So here you have a known mass, right? So due to gravity and a force which has been exerted, so a counterpass force will be exerted in the load arm where you have to measure the unknown mass. So the unknown, the force what you measure at the load arm will be the test force what we call it as. It will be F suffix T. So that we will come later. Okay, so the force which has been exerted with respect to the standard mass, we call it as F suffix G. So this force which has been exerted will create tension in the arm load. Okay, so this entire thing will be the power arm. So this will be the length of the power arm. So this will be the length of the load arm. Always the length of the load arm remains fixed and the length of the power arm you can vary. And in order to get the I'm sorry, it got disconnected. Okay, so in order to find out the equilibrium position, so what happens always, W1 is the standard mass. So W1 into B will be always equal to the unknown mass into the load arm distance A. So through this always you can determine the unknown mass W2 which will be equal to W1 into B by A. So this is the equation to show the equilibrium condition where the point lies exactly, where the pointer shows no deviations. So then you can say that both the values are in equilibrium. It got fluctuated again. So at equilibrium, to determine the balancing part, always W1 into B will be equal to W2 into A. So this is a condition where the pointer shows no deviation. So then you can say that it is at the balancing condition. Okay. So that's what it's been told over here. So an equal arm analytical balance always suffers with some disadvantages. What happens is it requires a set of weights which are at least heavy as the maximum weight to be measured. So here in unequal arm balance, always you'll be having the variation with respect to the known mass and the unknown. You should keep on adding on extra weights to measure the unknown mass.
Your voice is
Means,
breaking, ma'am.
yeah, just a second, I will.
Ma'am, your voice is breaking.
Just a second, I will refresh it. Now also is it breaking? Hello?
Ma'am, I
No,
think
it's
now
fine,
it's
ma'am.
fine.
Now it's fine? Okay. So what happens here is you will be having some drawbacks related to unequal arm because you need to measure the weights. Here you should have more weights than that of the weight what you have to measure, because you are not balancing your arm equally. You have to unequally balance. So in that aspects you need extra weights in order to measure the maximum weight. So you have to keep on like an idea thought. So if you want to weight an amount of 1000 kgs, so you should be having more than 1000 kgs of standard weights associated with you in order to evaluate its unknown values. So this is one of the drawbacks, or else it could be done in the reverse way, in order that the heavier weights can also be measured with the help of lighter weights. Again, you should be showing deviations either towards the upper trend or towards the lower trend, so that it will help you in balancing the unequal arms. You cannot use the direct weights in order to get the values as we did in equal arm balancing. Always you should be having the higher hand weights with you. So that is one of the major disadvantages associated with unequal arm balance, or else the rest part is quite good enough in order to get the values as required. Okay, so this is in general how does it look. So now, okay, so that was just related to our power arm and the load arm, how you show the known mass and the unknown mass. So now if we want to go in depth, so you can see that this will be the entire arm. Okay, so here and in entire arm you will be having the power arm over here and the load arm. So you will be having the knife edge, so which will be constrained at a particular point Q. Okay, so here you will be having a pointer attached to the beam for leveling our power arm and the load arm in together. So here apart from that you will be having another part of the unequal arm balance, which is called to be as the lever. So here you will be having the constraint where you will be fixing the knife edge at point P for the lever. So let us go in depth. So here you tell that the beam is pivoted on a knife edge at Q. So I told you, so this is the beam and it will be pivoted at the knife edge Q. So after that, the test force Ft is always applied by a screw or a lever mechanism through a knife edge. So the test force which will be applied, why the test force will be applied? Because you will be having so due to the standard mass here, you will be having the force associated to our gravitational force. So this force creates an tensional force in the loading arm. So as a result, you will be having a test force associated across the lever or the screw mechanism. So this force will be clamped at the knife edge point P. So you'll be having two knife edges. One is Q, which will balance our entire arm, and other one is the P, which is constraining the test force by the lever mechanism. And this distance will be always fixed. Distance A will remain fixed. Okay, So in order to balance the moment, so we have in some also you have studied, and in engineering mechanics also we have the how you calculate the bending moment equation at the equilibrium. So same thing you apply over here also.
Your voice is
So
getting cut, ma'am.
my voice is getting cut again. Let me